In this video, I'm gonna give you a full tutorial on a beginner's guide to podcasting for 2020 and moving forward.
Once again, here we go. Know the name on the flow. Turn me up a little more.
These are the exact things that I wish I knew when I started my first podcast. So what you see here on the screen is my show, High-End Client Acquisition, and I started this at the beginning of 2019 last year, and I've had guests like Billie Jean, Pat Flynn, Grant Cardone just a couple months ago. I have a lot of people on the list, depending on what time you're gonna watch this video. Bradley, Bedros Kulin, JLD, John Lee Dumas with Entrepreneurs on Fire. And I'm gonna put actually a list of all the guests that I've had. And some of the episodes are here on YouTube, but some of them are just audio. So I'll encourage you to go and check out my podcast on iTunes or Spotify, whatever you're listening. But now let's go into a beginner's guide and what are the actual things that I wish I knew when I first started my podcast. So the number one thing that you need when you first starting to podcast, when you become a podcaster, you need a mic. So right here on the screen, I got this Rode, and not just on the screen, but right here in front of me. Right now, I'm actually recording on another Rode, and I'll post both of them here on the screen so you can see them. This is a lav mic that I'm recording, and it's, to be honest, it's the one that I love the most, number one, because I don't need to, I can carry it with me everywhere I go. I can connect it to my iPhone. I can also do interviews, and it helps a lot because number one, it doesn't have batteries, so I can just, it's just a regular, I just plug it in, a USB port, and that's it, right? Now, when I do podcast episodes, right here at home at my home podcast studio, I use this one every time. And to be honest, I think at first I had the Blue Yeti because everyone was talking about it, and you can go and check the quality of the episodes that I have right now and then compare it to kind of the first 3 or 4 episodes. But to be honest, right now this is my favorite one. Are there other better than this? 100%. I think I paid for it at the time $139 or something like that. But Rode is a brand that I really like, and that's why even the lavalier. Oh, even right now, just a couple moments ago, I received another Rode microphone that I'm gonna be using for another camera, but that's for another story, all right? So number one thing that you need is a mic that can help you really deliver great audio, right? Think about it. Even in a video, for example, you can do a crappy video, but if the audio is good, you'll be forgiven. People will get over that. If the video is great, but the audio is crap, people will throw you under the bus like that, right? So it's important to pick the perfect microphone. And, at first, put it this way, anything is better than nothing. So even if you just get a lavalier mic that it's $20, and I'll put a couple in the description below that I've used with time, especially when I had to travel to places. So usually what I do, every time when I travel to events, I carry my equipment with me. So my camera, I got my iPhone, I got 2 microphones now, one for my iPhone, which is a Rode lavalier, and then I got another Rode that I usually carry with me every time when I do in-person interviews that I connected to the guest. Now, when I'm at home, this is connected with a regular arm that I don't like to take it on and off. So this one is just here when I record at home. So, choosing the mic, I think it's one of the best things. Now, based on your budget, when you get to the point, okay, you can invest, at least $100 into a decent mic, I would go with this one. This is my favorite one. And again, I'll put all the episodes in the description below so you can check them out, listen how they sound, and then, make up your mind with that. The second thing that you need is you're going to need an editing software. So what I use, because I use a Mac, I use GarageBand, and it's for free. You don't have to pay anything, and I'm gonna show it to you how easy it is to record. So this is just a track that I recorded, but not a track, but an episode, and you can see it right here on the screen. And you can literally just start one of these. You can even do new empty project, hit next, right? You have to, right now, this mic is not connected to the laptop because I have the other one, so it won't show up. but you're gonna see your Rode mic in here. You hit create, and then in GarageBand, and I'm gonna actually do a full tutorial just on GarageBand, but I usually, you have to deselect these, deselect the last tab, and I usually put it in time just because I don't record, tracks or like rap songs or whatever. So I usually don't mess around with these because these are the controls, the equalizers and all that. So the way that they are usually good for what I need to do. And then right here, you can add more tracks if you know you're gonna have maybe an intro or an outro and you're gonna record them separately. I usually record intros and outros outside of the interview, and I let the guests know on how I'm able to approach an interview, but I'm gonna do a full training just on that, so keep an eye out for that. But other than that, this is it, right? So GarageBand, for those of you guys that don't use Mac, I recommend Audacity. At this point in time, I think you can get it for free. If not, I'm pretty sure it's just like a $5 per month subscription. But if I'm not wrong, where it used to be for free, I think I tested with a friend of mine last year. So you are on the track that you wanna record, you just hit record, boom, boom, boom. Now it's not recording because I don't have the mic connected to it, but you get the point. So if you want to plug in your headphones, you can. I'll do another video to show you how I recorded my intro and outro when I was listening to the track that I wanted to play on my intro and outro, and that was pretty much it, right? So number one, let's do a quick recap. Number one, you need a mic. Number two, you need GarageBand. Now, when you have everything recorded, there are a couple options. I would suggest 1000% as fast as you can to not get caught up into the editing part of it. Now, at first, I get it. You may need to, save some money up and then you just hustle your way in, and that's totally cool. You can still edit through GarageBand and go. So I would highly suggest you cut all the uhs and ahs and ohs and all the vocals that you pronounce and all the mistakes that you make. But keep in mind something. What I realized is a lot of times when I do leave the mistakes in, people respond differently. Now, of course, you have to be careful, like what type of mistakes. If you keep making mistakes like every minute, that's not gonna sound too well. But what I realized is a lot of people like, the whole reality part. Like, we're not perfect, right? Like, we're not perfect people. Therefore, we make mistakes. I just did one. Therefore, people are okay with it, right? So keep that in mind. Like, yes, cut and make it professional and try to do it properly, but some things you have to let them in the episode, and that's totally fine. Number three, what you need is a hosting platform. And what I usually like to use is Libsyn. So as you can see in here, I got two shows on this one. One is in English, high-end client acquisition. The other one is in my native language. So I have two shows, both host them on Libsyn. Let's go to billing. I think the cheapest one that you can start with is like $5 a month or something like that. As you can see, the current plan that I'm on is like 15 bucks. It gets me some analytics. It gets me some stuff that I need, but you can start with as cheap as $5 a month. I would suggest when you can get to $15 a month, do it, just because you get some analytics that you want to look at. You want to look, like how many downloads you get, where are people coming from, like what countries, for you to understand a little bit the audience. Now, do you need it in the first month or two? Probably not, but it's important to keep that in mind. Do a quick recap. Number one, you need a mic. Number two, you need a recording software. Number three, you need a place for you to host. So the reason for that is, like, for example, Spotify or Apple Podcasts, because now it's not iTunes anymore, doesn't allow you to record directly to their platforms. Like the way that you upload to YouTube, the way that you upload to Facebook, the way you upload to Instagram or LinkedIn or TikTok or whatever, you cannot physically do that on iTunes or Spotify or all the rest of the places. So you need basically a hub. That's what Libsyn is like a hub, right? Like it's the hosting platform, and they host the episodes and then they push it to other platforms. So the moment you upload it to Libsyn, you basically come in here and you hit destinations, and this is where you have your feed, right? So this is where you copy the feed, and then you go and submit it to iTunes, you submit it to Spotify, you submit it to Google Podcast, you submit it to Stitcher, iHeartRadio, like whatever, like all the platforms that do have podcasts, as many as possible, of course. You only need to, right, like think about it. If you would have had to, even if that would have been possible, how much time would have taken you to upload your episodes to all these platforms? But no, upload to Libsyn, in my opinion. Like Libsyn is what I recommend because that's what I use. And then they push it to all the other platforms. Like, yes, you have to submit them once. So you have to submit once to Apple, you have to submit once to Spotify, you have to submit once to SoundCloud, you have to submit, like, right? Like it's one time, you do it at once, and then that's it. After that, every time when you come in here, you just add a new episode, right? Like you upload a new episode, and I'm gonna do another training exactly how to do this step by step. So, this training is not for this, is making sure that I wish I would have known all of this from the get-go. Tip number 4, or at least the 4th thing that you need, is you need a strategy for launch. So one of the most important metrics that, the podcasting platforms care about are downloads, reviews, and then subscribers. Well, kind of not necessarily, I don't know if in this direct order, but reviews and downloads are the ones that influence your rankings on these platforms the most. With that being said, if somebody subscribes to your show, it automatically downloads all your episodes. So for example, when you say to somebody, hey, go to iTunes and subscribe to my show, instead of please go and download my latest episode, if you have 50 episodes, if they subscribe to the show, like rate, review, and subscribe to the show, or subscribe, rate, and review, whatever. The moment they hit subscribe, all your episodes get downloaded on their device. So that's super important. I didn't know that. I only found that out probably 7 or 8 months in, when a really good friend of mine, and also one of my first mentors in podcasting, was Zachary Babcock. So when I worked with him, he explained to me step by step, like, dude, you have to focus on getting more reviews. You have to focus on pushing people to, pushing in a good way, right? Like you have to give people some valuable for them to subscribe to the show. So, and then I push it to get more reviews. What happens is I was already launched and I didn't ask for reviews the way that I should have. So if you're planning to launch a new show, make sure for the first 2 to 3 weeks before the show even starts, you focus a lot on the strategy for asking reviews. So the way to do this, you can contact your inner circle, your group of friends, if you have customers that you work with, if you have some followers on any social media platforms, and ideally you want to do a giveaway. So you want to give something away, valuable for people. And then, the way to enter to the giveaway is, you have to subscribe and rate the show, could be, right? Or you also reach out to people one by one on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, and then you ask them for a review, especially if you have a connection with them, right? Like you don't ask people to leave you a review without listening to your show, because that's not necessarily a good practice to get into it, but you get the point, right? Like you have some friends and families supposed to support you, right? So you may need to ask for that, because a lot of people think that, okay, I'm just gonna put it out there on my Facebook wall and people will start reaching out. It doesn't happen that way, right? So you have to be careful with that. So make sure you ask for reviews and ask for subscribers. Another thing that you could do when the moment you launch an episode is you can use other tools to create some cool little social media posts. So a tool that I use, it's called Wave. Let me see, how is it? I think it's Wave Audio. I forget what's the website. So it's wavve.co. So what this one allows you to do is you upload a 1 minute or a 15-second audio clip, and then you put a photo on it, and they create these waves for you to post on social media. Now, for the amount of time that it takes, especially at the beginning stage, it looks good in the people's eyes, in the followers' eyes. But to be honest, I track it. It doesn't really bring much traffic to it. I even tried paid ads, but I'll do a training on that specifically just so you guys get a sense if it makes sense or not. It's a cool feature to have, kind of thing. But keep that in mind. Like, don't try to implement right from the bat, because it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't really make a huge difference. So for these kind of posts, you can use Canva, and that's a free tool. I mean, they have a paid version of it, but it's a free tool that you can use to kind of add different like subscribe arrows and all kinds of things on the image. So that's something that you can use, but I didn't list that as necessities, the things that you actually need. And then the last thing that I would suggest everyone should get into is either Zoom or Skype. So I prefer Zoom just because I've been using it for a long time, but I have friends that use Skype as well for interviews. And Skype also gives you the option to split the audio, which, you know, it's a great way because the guest and yourself have different tracks, different audio tracks when you export the interview, so that's awesome. I just, for some reason, prefer Zoom because I've been using it for too long, and it's one of those things that I got so used to it, and now I can't get rid of it. And I also use it for different webinars and things like that. So you need a way for you to be able to interview people. So I usually use Zoom, like I said, and what I do is I record the interview. Sometimes I do video too, but most of the times I don't. I turn on the video at first when I connect with the guest, but then I turn it off just so it doesn't take too much bandwidth, so I can record a clear, crisp audio. So like I said, you know, you come to Zoom, you hit the new meeting, or ideally you want to schedule a meeting, right? Like you schedule a meeting and then you send the interviewee the link. After you hit schedule, it's going to give you a link, and then you can send the person the Zoom link that they can use to join you on the interview time and date. And then another thing, another tool that I think can be really valuable for you is Calendly, right? So let me come over here to Calendly. I use this for people wanting to book me or to book a spot on my calendar. So right now it's just under the 101, and I have just a simple questions, so phone number, website, and then media kit. Those are the only questions that I ask. And then at the end, I just ask a funny question. Well, funny but serious. Do you promise to show up on time? It's important to try to keep your schedule, you know, really tight and make sure that people actually do show up on time. So Calendly allows you to send email reminder, text reminders. I have the paid version, which is $10 a month. That sends text reminders, email reminders, so people know that it's a meeting coming up, which is the interview. And on top of that, it actually integrates with Zoom. So when somebody clicks and books a time with me, the Zoom meeting gets automatically generated. So I'll do a video on that because I know a lot of people are like, what? I need that. I don't need to do it manually. No, you can do it straight to Calendly, or just send the link to the person to book a time with you, and that's it. Now, I'm gonna do another video on, and I know I mentioned a lot of different trainings, but I'm in the process now of recording. Probably this podcasting playlist will have like 30 different tutorials, so you guys will have a lot of content to watch. But what's important to understand is you want to be smart with your time, and you try to batch produce a minimum of 4 episodes one day, and then you're done, right? So ideally you want to record intro and outro once, and then you have that forever. You can use Fiverr, you can use Upwork, or I can even refer my own podcasting assistant, podcasting editor, to help you guys with. You can listen to my intro and outro and see if you like it. And then I can list his information also in the description below. But if you batch produce 4 episodes in one day to a podcasting editor, that's it for the month. That's literally my process. I record 4 interviews. I publish once every week, but at the launch, I had 4 recorded, because a lot of times when you record, and especially when you launch, if people are hearing you for the first time and you don't have more than one, you know, things get a little bit ugly, sort of say. So you want to have 4 episodes when you launch, but then ideally after that, just so you don't get into the burnout part, you record 4 episodes in one day, you send it to somebody to edit it, you can schedule them and publish in advance, but for that, you're gonna need the $15 per month from Lipspin, the option, because if you do the $5, you're not gonna have enough storage to host all 4 episodes and then to be able to schedule them. And then so you record 4, you send to the podcast editor, you publish them in advance, you schedule them, and then that's it. Literally in a day, as long as, you know, the next day you also need probably another hour to schedule them all, but that's it. So guys, Let me know in the comments if this video made sense to you, because I put a lot of thought into it to make sure like how should I position it so it doesn't seem too complicated, but it doesn't, but it does bring a lot of value to you guys. So what I'm about to do is, like I said, I'm recording anywhere from 25 to 30 videos in this playlist. So you guys gonna be able to watch a lot of trainings on this completely for free right here on YouTube. So make sure to pay attention. But if you love this video, don't go anywhere. Start watching the next video coming up right here, where I actually interview Pat Flynn on what are the tricks and tips that he recommends us podcasters to grow our podcasts. So don't go anywhere. Start watching the next video with Pat Flynn, and I can't wait to see you there.